I'm the composer and poet Andrew Lloyd Fry, and this is an analysis of the piece I wrote, A New Kind of Air. This is from an album also called A New Kind of Air. So just want to talk about some of my thoughts behind what I was doing and kind of some of the mechanics of how this piece works. Okay, so first off, if we look at the right hand at the beginning of the piece, we're in C minor. So I'm just doing a C scale, C minor scale, going down, but then I harmonize it. Let's see. Okay, here we go. So what's going on melodically is like almost as simple as it could be, just like down the scale, but the chords is not following that just like downward. It wouldn't be as interesting if it was just like, that doesn't sound bad, but I wouldn't have done that. And again, if we put it back together, so the chords are doing some of that downward motion, and then they go to other places. So then I just continue. So I continue that downward scale again, and I should have. This is where it starts. So that's like the first little part, and then it just keeps going. So I'm just playing that scale again. So far, but the second time it's reharmonized. So it's this idea of kind of like simplicity and this thing that's really consistent, and then the chords just keep changing. So that's like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That's like 15 chords, and there's no sense of cycle to those chords. So that's the introduction, and that downward scale is really important, and it's kind of like the DNA that becomes the melody. So going on to the next section. Now you might have noticed this. I'm doing that scale again. So it's moving a little slower, and then I change to the left hand. So there's a cycle of that, and that's like, what is that? Yeah, 8 bars going down the scale. And then it goes to this. And so on. So what's happening there is this thing is still there, but it's embellished. So it's like C, B flat, A, G, F. So that downward scale is still happening, but it's embellished. The other thing is like this little part. That's foreshadowing something that comes later in the piece. So that runs its course. And really what my thought process here is, this melody is constructing itself as we go through the cycles. And it's a little bit of a Steve Reich idea, where he would have like a melody or kind of like a fragment thing, and then he would have it come in one note at a time. So he's like, you've got the melody, and then you put rest on everything but one note. So when the melody comes in, it's like bum, bum, and then it expands, ba-da, ba-da, ba-da-da. And it keeps doing that, and I wanted that kind of idea, but in a very different style and approach. So we've gone through 2 cycles. Cycle 3 is actually where the melody is made. So it's kind of like this whole time we're building up to this point, and then finally we get here. So that's this sense of arrival. And just from the beginning, we had that downward scale. It kept getting embellished. And then that downward scale is still embedded in this melody. So if I play it again, C, and it's normally the first note of the measure, C, B flat, A flat, G, F, E flat, D. So actually it's exactly the first note of every measure. This is still happening. Okay, so the next section, I kind of had this approach of the melody and the chords being a little bit more tied together. So a little bit kind of hymn-ish. And it's kind of like the chords are the melody in some sense. I lost my spot. Oh, here we go. Okay, now this chord right here, I use this a lot. This is the A flat chord. So I really like, you know, if we were in E major, this would be the 4. But it's the 6 in minor. And this is like, I don't know, a chord that I really like to rest on instead of like the dominant. And I like it both in major and minor. I use that a lot. That comes up later in this piece. So, and then the second cycle of this section, so slightly different. So the first time I went C minor, E flat to G, and this time just super slight variation, went to F there. Okay, now the other main thing I wanted to talk about is I kind of have this like ambient section that comes in later in the piece that's like, you know, that kind of thing going on. So I kind of struggled with like, how do I notate this? I want it like very free and very open and ambient and kind of like meterless. And it's just like, I don't know. Trying to note, oh, that's not it, this. Trying to notate that just kind of felt ridiculous. So what I did in the score is I just put in like this voicing and then just a note, you know, play, use this voicing in kind of meterless free time, and I do want it to crescendo. So, you know, that kind of thing, so it gets bigger. So then after that, I just have this super quiet return to that original melody, but it's a little bit slower. And so on. So that's how the piece ends. Okay, thank you for watching.